Let's call this meeting of the Aurora City Council for June 25th, 2024 to order. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Alderman Yamas?
Here.
Alderwoman Garza?
Here.
Alderman Masiacos?
Present.
Alderman Donnell?
Here.
Alderman Franco?
Here.
Alderman Seville?
Here.
Alderman Tolliver?
Here.
Alderwoman Smith?
Here.
Alderman Bug?
Here.
Alderwoman Bade? Alderman Lash?
Here.
Alderman Warman?
Here.
Mayor Irvin's present.
Is there a motion to approve and appoint the Sergeant of Arms for this meeting? Motion made by Alderman Smith, seconded by Alderman Garza. All in favor? Motion carries by voice vote. Mr. Muhammad.
Yes, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Tonight we have leading the Pledge of Allegiance our track and field champions, Kawan Marshall and Patrick Hilby. We'll hear more about them in just a minute. If we can all please stand.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please stay standing for the invocation. It is also Illinois Tejano Week. We'll meet the individuals from the organization in just a few minutes. But from the Illinois Tejano organization, we have Norma Gutierrez, who will lead us in the invocation. Norma?
Well, I want to thank everybody for this opportunity to do one of the most important things here, and that is to thank God for this blessing of the Tejano organization that is being given to give all these scholarships. And I thank God for everything that He has done and everything that He's going to do. And this will kick off the Tejano Week, which is being proclaimed the last week of June, the Tejano Week. I thank you, God, for all your blessings, your gifts, your gift of salvation. Most of all, Father God, I pray that everything that's being heard here today and spoke of, Lord, that it's your light that shines through, Father God, and everything as a community. We work together, Lord, to be one, to be united. Thank you, Lord, for being able to be different and yet be united. I thank you, Lord, for all your plans that you have for everything that takes place here today. And I am just thankful, God, that we are all healthy and be able to be here to work together. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
And thank you so much, Norma. You may be seated.
All right, before we go on, just to go on to the next portion of the agenda, Mayor's Office of Community Affairs. Mr. Muhammad, are there any presentations?
Yes, Mayor, we have a couple of presentations tonight as we celebrate our champions, our track champions. John, if you can go to the next slide. We have two young men who have represented us so well here in Aurora, bringing back state championships and national championships. We can give a round of applause for Kawan Marshall and Patrick Hilby, representing Aurora Central and Aurora West. They've represented us a number of times, bringing back a number of trophies and a number of medals, and medaling in a couple different events individually. Reminds me, if you can go to the next slide, John, reminds me of Olympic gold medalist Carl Lewis, who won 9 gold medals, 1 Olympic silver medal, and 10 world championships, including eight gold. If we can come back to the, including 8 gold. His career spanned from 1979 to 96, when he last won the Olympic long jump. His accomplishments have led to numerous accolades, including being voted the World Athlete of the Century, the Sportsman of the Century, the Olympian of the Century, and the Athlete of the Year. And when you see the work that Patrick Hilby has done and the work that Kawan Marshall has done, certainly they are in the vein of great Olympians and great athletes like Carl Lewis. So we reach out to Carl for a special message to the guys.
Hello, Kawan Marshall and Patrick Hilby. I'm going to call you Kawan and Patrick from now on because I want to be more personal. This is Carl Lewis. Man, I have heard that you guys have been fabulous. You've had an incredible season. State champion, national champion, just incredible. But I also want to say congratulations. Congratulations at the hard work. You know, I ran at the high school level, at the youth level, and now, of course, I coach at the University of Houston. And so I know how hard it is, and how tough it is, and how much work it takes to be successful. And especially, look at you, Patrick. You're actually 400 and 800. So therefore, I want to say congratulations. The people around you, your community, the city of Aurora, they all love you, and they should, because you've done a tremendous job. You've had excellent success, and you've gone all around the country and made them proud. So here it is, Carl Lewis saying, congratulations, so proud of you. And also, now you know I coach at the University of Houston. So, H-Town Speed City, could use a high jumper and a middle distance runner that runs a 400. Don't forget about us. Okay, congratulations, Kiwan and Patrick. You guys are number one in so many people's hearts. And congratulations from me, Carl Lewis.
Big round of applause for Olympian Carl Lewis for reaching out to our kids here at Aurora. Mayor, if you can please join us down. We can go to the next slide, John. I want to recognize first Kiwan Marshall, West Aurora High School class of 2025. He won this year's state championship in high jump with a jump of 6 feet, 8 1/4 inches. He's a 3-sport athlete in addition to track and field. He also is lettered in football and basketball, certainly Olympian, certainly in his future. Just an absolutely great young man. Kiwan, if you can please join the mayor down at the microphone. A big round of applause for state champion, Kiwan Marshall.
I'd like to award this plaque. Say congratulations to Kiwan Marshall, West Aurora High School, for clinching the 2024 IHSA State Championship in high jump. From Mayor Richard Irvin and the City Council. Give him a round of applause.
We have one more. Wait a minute. Hold on one second, Kiwan. You're state champ. We got to get.
Now, we can't let you go away without giving you a sign that's going to be hung as you enter into the city of Aurora, letting you know that Kiwan Marshall is the 2024 IHSA State Champion High Jump. Now, everybody going to be able to see this when they come into the city.
Yeah, big round of applause, Kiwan Marshall. Congratulations. You can take your poster with you. And now we have another future Olympian. You may remember him from the fall when he won the indoor national championship. Well, this May he clinched the 400-meter IHSA state championship with a run time of 48:08. And he clinched the 800-meter state championship, bringing back 2 state championships. Patrick Hilby from Aurora Central. Big round of applause. Come on down, Patrick.
Now, this congratulations goes to Patrick Hilby from Aurora Central Catholic High School for clinching the 2024 IHSA State Championship in the 400 and 800 National Outdoor Championship in the 800. Give him another round of applause. Making it happen from the Aurora City Council, Mayor Richard Irvin.
And as the mayor said, not only did he clinch the championships for the state, just last week he went to the New Balance National Outdoor Championship and he clinched the national championship title as well. With a time of 1 minute 47 seconds, 55. It's the fastest of all time of Illinois high school history.
So we got 2 signs to post as folks enter into Aurora. We got Patrick Hilby, 2024 National Outdoor Championship for the 800, and Patrick Hilby, 2024 IHSA State Championship for the 400 and 800. This guy's running. He's running places.
And we can bring both guys down for a picture with the mayor.
Come on back up.
You can leave your sign down there. A lot of hardware there.
Y'all got to smile.
Be happy.
Another round of applause for our state national champions as well. Congratulations to the families, to the coaches, to the schools. Great job for raising champions. We're very proud of both of you. Thank you. And Patrick, you can take both of your signs as well. You can hang tight there. We'll do pictures right when we're dismissed. All right, we can go to the next slide, and the next one. It's also Illinois Tejano Week. This weekend, we're celebrating the 21st annual Tejano Fest on Saturday. And before that, for the first time on city property, we are raising the Tejano flag in conjunction with the Illinois Tejano organization. They are celebrating 65 years, founded in 1959 by 5 Tejanos: Jose Luis Rodriguez, Juan Leal, Esteban Hernandez, Ramon Andrade, Agapito Mendoza, and charter member. We know him well. Rest in peace to Mr. Al Talib. And 65 years later, they've rebuilt the organization. It's going strong. 21 years of providing scholarships. And a huge fest this weekend right here in downtown. But we'll celebrate with the entire team on Friday. If we can have members of the Illinois Tejano organization, please join the mayor down front. A big round of applause for the ITO, keeping Tejano culture alive here in the city of Aurora.
All right, it's my honor to read this proclamation. Come on up and join the party, brother. For the Illinois Tejano Week, June 23rd through June 29, 2024. Whereas during the early 1950s, the first Tejanos began arriving in Aurora, settling on Aurora's east side. And whereas in 1959, a group of 5 Tejano men who worked at the former Austin Western factory organized the Aurora Latin American Club with the goal of maintaining their Mexican-American heritage, the Spanish language, patriotic involvement, and their children's education. And whereas in 1966, the Aurora Latin American Club purchased a building adjacent to the former Austin Western factory on North Farnsworth Avenue, which became a social institution that unified people of Mexican origins and Tejano origins in Aurora throughout the cultural events, social gatherings, athletics, and more. And whereas the Hispanic community grew over the next couple of decades, with the immigrants from Mexico becoming the dominant Hispanic group, the Tejano community became less prominent and an almost hidden subgroup. But in 1998, Mr. and Mrs. Israel Castillo from Aurora founded the Northern Illinois Tejano Culture Society to preserve and maintain Tejano culture and to raise funds for scholarships, eventually changing its name to the Illinois Tejano Organization. Whereas the Illinois Tejano Organization has for the past quarter of a century preserved and promoted pride in the Tejano and Hispanic culture, supported the education of Hispanic students through scholarships, and demonstrated Hispanic community involvement and organizational leadership. And whereas the Illinois Tejano Organization will hold its 21st annual Tejano Scholarship Fest at Wilder Park on Saturday, June 29th, preceded by the first ever city-led Tejano flag raising on Friday, June 28th. So now, therefore, I, Mayor Richard C. Irvin, recognize the Aurora Tejano history, population, culture, and contributions, and do hereby proclaim the week of June 23rd through 29th, 2024 as Illinois Tejano Week in the city of Aurora.
And Mercy, you have something to say? You have words? There we go.
Oh, first of all, we're gonna make you honorary.
Go ahead, brother. I'm an honorary Tejano today. I'm a wear proud. He said, now I'm in the club. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you for acknowledging us. What? Where's your speech? No, no.
I just got a little bit here, then said the most of it. Tonight is it is an honor and a privilege to address you guys and the reflection and the journey and in the evolution of the organization that holds a special place in the hearts of our community, the Northern Illinois Tejano, Northern Illinois Tejano Society, now known as the Illinois Tejano Organization, since 1988. It's a group of people that came together and put this club to make it possible for kids to go to school and stay in school and make Aurora a better city and keep going with our education and show our kids that there is a future in the city of Aurora. It's always been on my heart, the best city in the world.
When I first got married, I'm not going to say the year anymore. I did on Buenos Dias, Aurora. And I really told those people my age. But I did get married back in 1978. And every street corner, there was young kids standing. And I was like, what are they doing? Are they waiting for the bus? And it was like, no, it's summertime. I said, oh, that's right. Again, a lot of gangbangers, and I wasn't used to that. I came from Batavia, and I didn't like that. I got married September 4th. First week of October, a fourth grader took a gun to school. I was, oh my God. I never heard that in Batavia. So after that, it was always in the back of my mind, I don't want to live here. I don't want to live here, but why should I run from Aurora? Let's make a change. And God willing, I did. I stuck to this organization, and we have made a change. We'll give out scholarships for kids that just want to make a difference, go work on body shops, go cut hair, be a cosmetologist, do nails. I don't care, but at least you'll have a degree where you can make your own business. You want to do tattoos? We'll help you make tattoos. Get an education on that. Again, at least you'll have something that you can make a life. I know it's not much. $1,000 is not going to get you a lot of education, but you know what? You'll get your foot on the door. And then it'll be up to you to continue your education. My name is Mercy Galicia. If I can ever help you in anything, I'm here. Thank you.
Big round of applause for the Illinois Tejano organization. Again, we invite the community out on this Friday at 11 a.m. as we raise the Tejano flag. I hear Mercy may make some tamales for the community on Friday. So come on out. Another round of applause for the ITO. Let's take another group picture. And of course, their festival on Saturday at Wilder Park. Congratulations, ITO there.
I have 2 dozens of tamales.
Okay, we'll bring them on Friday then. Thank you so much. Another round of applause for the ITO. Thank you so much. And as they take their seat, we remind you of a couple of events we have coming up. Tomorrow night is the mayor's second quarter State of the City address, the state of public safety and public engagement at 6 p.m. at Purpose City Church. We're focused on all things public safety and what makes this community so engaged and such an amazing place. So there's still seats, so please go ahead and RSVP and come on out and join us for the second quarter State of the City. John? And then next week is 4th of July already. So on Wednesday, the 3rd, 9 p.m. are the fireworks, River Edge Park, McCullough Park, all throughout downtown. We're expecting upwards of 40,000 people. And on Thursday, the 4th, is the annual parade right here in downtown Aurora. What you see on the screen now are the signs. If you light it, we'll write it. The campaign that says if you're lighting illegal fireworks, we will write the tickets and write the fines. And so this will go out on social media with additional physical signs where you can report those who are doing illegal fireworks in neighborhoods, and our team then will get on to make certain that they right those wrongs. Again, if you light it, we'll write it. We look forward to having a safe and fun 4th of July. Thank you so much, Mayor and City Council.
Thank you very much, Ms. Muhammad. Let's go on to the next portion of the agenda, mayor appointments. There are none this evening, so the next portion of the agenda is public comment. Madam Clerk, do we have any members of the public wishing to offer public comment?
We do, Mr. Mayor.
Will you please read the rules for public comment?
Pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, all persons shall be permitted an opportunity to address public officials under the rules established and recorded by the council. Under our rules, any person may address the city council for up to 3 minutes, with a maximum of 30 minutes allotted for all public comment. No person, other than the timekeeper or the chair for the purpose of maintaining order, may interrupt a person recognized for public comment during his or her comments. Members of the city council shall not engage with nor respond to a speaker during the time set aside for public comment. Staff is directed to follow up with members of the public with respect to any concerns raised during public comment within the scope of the city's authority following the adjournment of this meeting.
All right, before we call the first speaker, I want to give everybody an opportunity that are here for presentations. I know we have some students in the room and some folks that are here to celebrate with our Tejano organization. So if you'd like to stay, feel free to, but if not, I'll give you a few minutes to file out so we can start the regular portion of our business. All right, those folks that would like to stay and participate in the meeting, I appreciate your attendance. Madam Clerk, will you call the first speaker wishing to offer public comment?
Tyler Rockwar.
Is there Tyler Rockwar? All right, come on up and speak, brother. Step right up to that microphone right there, my man. Sir, you have 3 minutes to speak beginning now.
Okay. Good evening. I met Brandon back in 2019, and we used to do cell phone towers together. And the kid right away, I could tell had this work ethic. Like, he's young, and I didn't kind of, I didn't think he would fit in, but he shined, and he became one of our best climbers. And he always had this dream about tattooing. He always told me about it. He wanted to open up a tattoo shop, become a tattoo artist. That's what he wanted to do. And he finally made the jump, a couple years ago. He left the company. He left a well-paying company, great family business. Me and him both been in downtown Aurora, probably been on every single rooftop here doing work for AT&T. But he left that. He left well-paid, a good business, a family-owned business, benefits, everything, to chase a career, to pursue it. And I give him props for that. A lot of people can do that, and it just sucks that I don't know. Sorry, I'm nervous. Not a lot of people can chase that career because I'm in the middle trying to make that leap myself. I've been at that company 11 years now, and I'm trying to do it, and I can't do it. But he did it, and it sucks. It's hurting him to see a kid taken away from him. You know, he talks about it all the time. He just loves doing it. It's art, and it's a passion. I see people. I go there and just hang out with them, just hanging out, and I see people go in there, and they get some work done, and they top off that chair just happy. Like they're just the happiest thing. You sit through this pain and you receive happiness. It's weird. I don't know, but it's just he's a good guy, and I don't know. I'm sorry. That's it. I'm freezing up.
Madam Clerk, call the next speaker.
Jason Verdon.
Mr. Verdon, you have 3 minutes to speak beginning now.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jason Verdeen. I'm a proud first-generation Mexican-American that spent years living in this city. From August to June, I'm a public servant as a high school English teacher. Throughout the rest of the year, I run my own photography business, mostly serving clients on their wedding day, many times in this great city of Aurora. In both of my teaching positions, 11 years at Equal Valley and now 2 years at Lyons Township, I've never been able to afford living in the community where I teach. And it's prevented me from truly feeling like I'm a part of the community where I invest so much of my time. I spend most of the time living here in, wrong part. I spent most of my time living here in Aurora. I share all this because I've always had the support to chase my dreams, and today I'm here to support my friend Brandon Rodriguez, an Aurora resident, in his endeavor to be a part of his community and invest his time where he lives by opening a place of business and art in a new tattoo shop. Brandon is an incredibly talented artist, and his vision for this shop goes far beyond the mere application of ink to skin. He sees it as a space for creativity, self-expression, and community building. For far too long, tattoos have been unfairly associated with the negative stigma of violence and gangs. The stereotype's outdated and does a great disservice to the many people who view tattoos as a form of personal expression and art. As a professional in 2 settings, I don't hide my tattoos when I'm at work. They're a chosen part of who I am. In both my roles, I've witnessed firsthand the positive impact that creative expression can have. In the classroom, I encourage my students to find their voices and share their stories, whether through writing, art, or any other means. Photography is a way to tell stories visually, to capture emotions and moments that words sometimes can't fully convey. Tattoos are no different. They're a deep personal way for individuals to express their identities, commemorate significant life events, and even heal from past trauma. The designs and artistry involved in modern tattooing are truly remarkable and deserve to be recognized as a legitimate form of art. In recent years, we've seen a recent shift in how tattoos are perceived. More people from all walks of life are embracing them, and this acceptance is reflected in popular culture, professional environments, and beyond. Tattoos are no longer hidden or stigmatized, but celebrated for their beauty and individuality. Brandon's shop will become a beacon of this positive change. It'll be a place where people can come together, share their stories, and leave with a piece of art that carries personal meaning. His dedication to his craft and his respect for each client's unique vision ensures that this shop will be a safe and welcoming space for everyone. So let's support him in this venture, a Mexican-American that's trying to make his living. Let's shift our thinking on tattoo culture and recognize it for what it truly is, a vibrant, inclusive form of self-expression and art. By doing so, we contribute to a better community that values creativity, diversity, and acceptance, all things that I think this great city of Aurora is striving for and has celebrated this past month. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, call the next speaker.
David Zavala.
Mr. Zavala, you have 3 minutes to speak beginning now.
I'm here today to support Brandon Rodriguez and ask permission for him to open up his tattoo shop in our city. Back in 2016, I own a barbershop called Master Cuts on 4th and Union, so I understand what he's going through with being young and try to start a business. When you're young and barely getting started, it can be quite difficult. It's challenging to start a business here in our city. I had a conversation with Brandon. One of the things that I told him is, if we're gonna do things, let's do things the right way. Let us not cut corners. So I'm very proud of him for doing just that and standing here with you fine gentlemen. I'm also in the process of building my business as well, and I know getting started is difficult, especially when you don't have mentors and leaders helping you along the way. And at times the city makes it a little bit harder. So I'm here helping Brandon as a mentor. Brandon and I are a part of our community. We help David Smith. I know he works here in the city with the Back to School Bash for the past 3 years. I even have letters from some of you guys thanking us for our community work. We've done stuff with Hesed House. We partnered with them and giving them haircuts. I'm a barber, and giving them haircuts back to their community. And when I was back in Mastercuts, we even ran a little food pantry there. We partnered up with Pastor Escamilla, pastor of Calvary Church in Naperville. We would literally bring food from their food pantry in Naperville and bring it back to our community behind in the basement of the barbershop. And we used to grab a dolly and go neighborhood to neighborhood, seeing if our community would want some food. So we are very involved in our community. We've done projects at Section 8 housings, giving haircuts there to the kids and helping them. We worked on it with some other nonprofits. There was one called Fuse where we did they did a helping kids with their homeworks and helping them out. And right now, Brenda and I are working on another project to help at-risk youth, especially those that they want to start a business, and those that have gone through the same issues that me and Brandon have gone through and overcome. And I hope that you guys would help us as we are helping our community. And I was very excited to see my Latino brother over there. When I saw you and I was talking to Brandon about it, I was like, man, we have a Latino brother up there, and I hope that he's gonna help us. So I hope that you will help us today. And thank you guys so much for your time, and God bless you guys.
Madam Clerk, call the next speaker.
Samuel Perez.
Mr. Perez, you have 3 minutes to speak beginning now.
Perfect. How you doing, guys? My name is Samuel. I just
Feel
wanna-
free to lift that up to your, there you go.
I just want to say thank you for letting me talk on behalf of Brandon. I've been a Aurora resident for 27 years now. And from someone that's had to deal with a lot of things that happened in his life as a victim of gun violence, losing my best friend to gun violence, tattoos are like the easiest way to express the things that happened in my life. And I pay as a contributor to my best friend because me and him talked about always getting tattoos together. So I keep that tradition going on. And someone like Brandon that wants to open up his own business and help others to tell their story or even put something on their skin that means a lot to them reflects on me, because I know it's kind of hard to start your own business and to be out there and just to be comfortable to do things that you love. And even doing this talking, it's a little bit harder for me from what I've been through. I have a little bit of PTSD from a lot of the trauma that I had to go through, but to stand up here for Brandon and to speak to you guys on his behalf, I really hope you guys can see that he's willing to do a lot of things that others are not willing to do or scared to do because of what society puts on the weight of people's backs and stuff like that. So I'm hoping from all of us coming here together to back him up and try to show you guys that he's truly passionate and that he got his own people to come here to speak on behalf of him. Get you guys to change your mind and hopefully allow him to keep on making people happy with what they want to do with their own personal body and how they feel comfortable and how they see fit. As we see in Aurora, we have a lot of people create art and put art on buildings. Why not allow them to express the art on themselves and have someone that mastered their craft and loves to do what he does and just make people happy on all in all. So I just want to say I hope from all of us coming here together, it changes a few of your minds and makes you see that someone that, as Brandon, wants to just help people in this community and make sure that he can show others, especially how young he is, that anything's possible if you put your mind to it. Thank you, guys.
Madam Clerk, call the next speaker.
Gustavo Kalzonson.
Mr. Kazonzine, you have 3 minutes to speak beginning now.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for allowing me to be here, giving me a couple of minutes to talk to you guys, try to convince you guys to allow my friend Brandon Rodriguez to open up a shop. 24-year-old guy, big vision and ahead of him. He doesn't want to work for somebody else for the rest of his life. He's trying to do something for himself, just like most of us are, you know? We're all not trying to just work from 8 to 9 and not see our family or whatever. He wants to have a little free time. He likes to travel. We all like to do a little bit of our things on our own. I'm a business owner too. I just opened it not too long ago. I'm going through the same process and everything. We're all just here to support each other, you know? We all just want to do something good for our families, get away from what we've been doing for the rest, like our whole lives, you know, try to change it up for everybody. It's nothing much more to say. I mean, I'm just here to support him more than anything. Hopefully you guys change your mind. Give him a little bit of a leeway. You know, we all make mistakes. We all do things a little bit wrong without getting ourselves informed. But we all can fix our mistakes and just give him a chance, and we'll see where it takes us. Thank you, guys.
Madam Clerk, call the next speaker.
Fayez Kazindar.
Sir, Fayez Kozinder. Fayez Kozinder. Madam Clerk, call the next speaker.
Brandon Rodriguez.
Mr. Rodriguez, you have 3 minutes to speak beginning now.
All right. I might be getting a little bit annoying by now, but I really don't see in which way could I possibly harm this community. I mean, there's people who are gang members. Yes, they might mark the body with whatever they want to say that they're gang members, right? I don't do none of that. Now, tattoos do not make a person a criminal. A criminal is made by his crimes against society and his actions. Whatever these people do bad, wrong, and they go to prison, that's how you make a criminal. I'm not a criminal myself. I mean, I've never done anything illegal. I grew up on the east side of Aurora. I went to East Aurora High School. When I was 18, I joined the Marines, and I was starting to be an engineer in aviation. That was my passion. I had a career like all of you guys, right? I have a general discharge. I have my own reasons. We can speak about it later. But after that, I became a local 131 electrician. I worked for the same industry that installed all the monopoles and cell phone towers in the city of Aurora and the roof in downtown. I myself work in those antennas. That's why last time I was really interested in answering the questions that the guy from AT&T couldn't answer. He couldn't answer something that he doesn't know, but we're the ones who did all the work, right? But man, at the end of the day, I really have no bad intentions with the idea of my shop. Man, if I knew it was gonna get this difficult, I don't know. I thought myself it was gonna be really hard. I invest all my money in just 1 month, you know? I saw the opportunity right there. I have the owner of the business here with me to support me as well. And he has been helping the small businesses owner for the past 20 years. He has owned that building for over 24 years. And if I was to rent another place, I cannot afford $6,000, $7,000 a month for a local. This person is willing to get out of his way to help me open my business. There were people offering $800, $1,000 more for the place, right? But he said, no, I'm gonna help this individual person start his career. So, from the bottom of your heart, what is it that you guys feel it is a good reason to deny me my career? What reason do you guys actually have to tell me, no, you're not gonna do that? I do not make more harm than any liquor store around. I don't even drink myself. So thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Sorry that I annoy you so much, but have a good night.
Madam Clerk, call the next speaker.
Ramon Romero.
Mr. Romero, you have Morero. You have 3 minutes to speak beginning now.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. I'm here. My name is Ramon Romero, the owner of the building 559 High Street. I have been the owner for this building for more than the last 24 years in this duplex for family and commercial unit on the same floor with the Brandon listed. For the past 20 years, I helped small business owners like Brandon and many others who have hard time finding starting point. I am here today to ask to you guys help Brandon make this happen the same way I am helping him. Brandon has in my trust and a place my heart, and I want the best for him. His intentions are good and he wants to help the community. This is a new generation and we must understand that times change. Young people like Brandon deserve the help from us because our future depends on people with good intention, responsible, and with such commitment to the right things. Thank you for your giving me your time, and I hope you guys can support Brandon the same way like me. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Call the next speaker.
Aaron Torres.
Mr. Torres, you have 3 minutes to speak beginning now. Feel free to readjust that microphone.
All right, cool.
All right.
Mayor, council members, nice to meet you. I ain't never done nothing like this before, so bear with me. Brandon's a close friend of mine. I just got off my 12-hour shift, actually. I work over in Naperville. I'm one of the at-risk youth that kind of made it out. So I feel like to see somebody like, I've known Brandon for like 4 years now, and just to see the amount of like passion and effort that he pours into what he does every day, it inspires me. It motivates me. I just got off a 12-hour shift, came straight here just because he told me what's going on. Like, he just kind of gave me a little rundown. I was like, I could come and speak for you because I feel so passionately about this. I feel like, I grew up on over in Settlement Estates, a little trailer park. I grew up there till I was like 13, 14. I moved out here to South Park. I just feel like as a member of this community, I grew up in East Aurora. Not a lot of people expect us to, graduate school and like move on, go on to college and do bigger, better things. I'm a service manager now at the dealership that I work at. And everywhere we go, it's a stigma attached to tattoos. And I feel like now that, times are changing, things are kind of changing. Everybody on the chain of command was always like, you got to cover up your tattoos, this and that. But to me, I feel like it's about expressing who you are and how times are changing. Like, it's not about how you look. You don't judge a book by its cover. That's a cliche. But at the same time, it's like showing people that it don't matter where you come from, how you look. It's about who you are and what you carry inside of you, I see Brandon and I see the passion that he carries regarding this business. I see the amount of time and effort that he's poured into it. I see this is a guy that started with $1 and a dream. He's been talking about doing this tattoo thing for a long time, and I see that. And that holds weight to me. I ain't nobody, you know what I'm saying? I'm just somebody that wanted to come speak to you guys to try to pull some strings on your heart. But I feel very passionately about this. It don't got nothing to do with me, but at the end of the day, this is my brother. And as a Chicano, I come from, immigrant parents, and to see somebody who also is kind of, he's my brother. And to see how hard he's going for this, and like, he gave me like, people saying that it's a residential area or whatever the case may be. My man's just trying to make a living for himself. We could be out here doing a million things, X, Y, and Z, because people expect us to, how we look, where we come from, the color of our skin. But my man's trying to make a living for himself. And not only that, but pour into the youth and give them an opportunity to, ultimately change their course of action. We don't got to be out here painting our walls and doing stuff like that. Like, it's opportunities for everybody. And so I just come here humbly to, ask from you guys to give them a chance. That's it. Thank you for your time.
Call next speaker, Madam Clerk.
Pat Weiler.
Can you tell me how much time is left for speakers?
About
About 14 minutes, 42 seconds. Pat Weiler. Ms. Weiler, you have 3 minutes to speak beginning now.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, everybody. My name is Pat Weiler. I've been a resident of Aurora for about 50 years. Some people do know me as Mrs. Kravitz, but that's not necessarily true. Okay, I'm here to talk to you about location, location, location. That is one of the most important factors in property value, is where your location is. Ward 1 is a perfect location for residential, commercial, and recreational properties. It does, however, require that an alderperson call Ward 1 their principal residence. It is not a place to visit just to do business while residing somewhere else. There are some legal and ethical issues involving an alderperson's required residency. According to documents that I have read, an alderperson is required to live in the ward he or she was elected to represent. To live elsewhere might involve some legal action. If laws do not apply to alderpersons, then how are regular citizens expected to obey laws? Voters, when they vote for someone, expect their candidates to be true, correct, and consistent. If that situation changes, then we have to take some action. To be less than these things borders on the possibility of some serious character flaws and on their misrepresentation to the people who supported them. Nearly finished, hold on. As a resident who calls Ward 1 home, I agree with Dorothy, who said, there's no place like home. But Ward 1 might be homier if an alderman also called it their principal residence, or they stepped aside for someone who can. Thank you very much for your time.
Madam Clerk, call the next speaker.
Keith Larson.
Mr. Larson, you have 3 minutes to speak beginning now.
Good evening. My name is Keith Larson, and I'm a resident of the 3rd Ward. I've been coming here regularly to ask that you pass a ceasefire resolution to show that Aurora stands against genocide, such as the one happening in Gaza right now. I've justified this with plenty of moral reasons from my perspective as an anti-Zionist Jew, and political reasons given that the overwhelming majority of people in this country and on the planet support a ceasefire and do not support genocide. But tonight, I want to explain some legal implications. The Leahy Law is a U.S. law that prohibits the U.S. State Department from providing military assistance to foreign entities that commit human rights violations with impunity. The Israel Leahy Vetting Forum is a group formed specifically to identify Israeli military units involved in human rights violations to bar them from receiving assistance from our country. Secretary of State Blinken refused to acknowledge the Israeli Leahy Vetting Forum's findings of torture, rape, and extrajudicial killing committed by the Israeli military and decided to continue funding Israel in direct and open violation of U.S. federal law. Back in December, an Israeli unit was in the Gaza Strip and encountered 3 escaped Israeli hostages who emerged from a building waving white flags fashioned from the shirts they were wearing with Hebrew writing clarifying that they were Israeli hostages. Immediately, an Israeli sniper shot all 3 of them, killing 2 and injuring the 3rd. The 3rd then ran back into the building and began yelling out to the nearby unit. The commander ordered the soldiers to hold their fire, but when the hostage emerged, another soldier intentionally defied these orders and murdered the hostage. The Israeli military then investigated the incident and found that the murderous soldiers acted with, quote, no malice, despite defying direct orders and murdering unarmed civilians, clearly waving white flags. This is significant because the Leahy Law specifically mentions human rights violations with impunity. This is a clear example of war crimes being committed by shooting unarmed civilians, clearly waving a white flag, yet the Israeli military decided to endorse this behavior rather than to punish it. If this is how Israel treats its own citizens, how much worse do you think they treat Palestinians? Well, all you have to do to find out is look at the videos all over the internet of unspeakable violence done to refugees and to actual infants. To the Israeli military, anything that moves in Gaza is the enemy, and that is why this is a genocide, not a war.
The U.S. government is defying its own laws by funding Israel. If Aurora wants to stand on the right side of history and the right side of the law, it would be imperative to call out our government's open violations of U.S. federal law. Ceasefire now. And with the rest of my time, I want to say that I support Brandon and his tattoo shop. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, call the next speaker.
Raymond Hall.
Mr. Hull, you have 3 minutes to speak beginning now.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the City Council. My name is Raymond Hall. I'm a resident of Ward 1 in Aurora, and I reside at 1075 Joel Avenue. A little over a year ago, I stood before this council and shared with you all that the alderman of Ward 1 had purchased a home on Verona Ridge in Ward 5. I requested that Mr. Yamas, within a reasonable time, do the right thing and resign his seat on the council because he was no longer in compliance with Code 1969-2-62, which stated in part that he must resort in the ward while he holds office. Tonight, my first request of the council is to declare the first ward seat vacant in a timely fashion, like immediately, so that the residents of Ward 1 may select a candidate of our choosing to serve the remaining 2-year term in 2025. I will hand out 3 sets of documents for your consumption, the first being a current tax bill for the home in which Mr. Yamas lives in. It shows the $8,000 homestead exemption allowed for the property. The second set is a copy of the P-tax form, which was signed during the closing and is needed so that one can apply for the exemption. In that document, you will see that Mr. Yamas checked the box number 6, which states that 976 Verona Ridge will be his primary residence. Lastly, on page 2 of that form, Mr. Yamas checked the box that states that under penalties of perjury, I state that I have examined the information and to the best of my knowledge, it is true, correct, and complete. The last set of legal forms is for the property at 620 North Lincoln, where Mr. Yamas continues to insist that he lives. I will just say he is not the owner listed, and we'll leave it at that. I contacted Mr. Veenstra, and he seemingly defended Mr. Yamas by shifting the debate to whether or not Mr. Yamas has abandoned the property on Lincoln Avenue. He cannot abandon property that he does not own. He was a tenant at best. There's case law available which addresses this issue, but this is not the same situation as, for instance, with Rahm Emanuel, where he went to work for the federal government and fully intended to return to Chicago, or in the case of military personnel who are called away to serve. This is about arrogance, greed, and ignorance. He is arrogant, he is greedy, and we are not ignorant. The taxpayers of all Aurora should know that Alderman Yamas for the last 12 months plus has collected in the range of $25,000 to $27,000 along with pension contribution, stipends for attending meetings, along with family medical insurance, and has clearly perjured himself. Everyone who will be on the ballot in 2025 that continues to support this chicanery is put on notice that this issue will not go away. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, call the next speaker.
Nancy Roberts.
Nancy Roberts. Ms. Roberts, you have 3 minutes to speak beginning now.
Good evening. Yes, my name is Nancy Roberts, and I am coming before you to ask that you call for not only an immediate and complete ceasefire in Gaza, but an immediate and complete arms embargo on the state of Israel. Many people have spoken to you over the past months about the treachery and the savagery and the murder and the starvation and the utter cruelty that Israel has imposed on the people of Gaza. Children are dying of starvation every day because Israel does not allow food to come into to Gaza. No food has come in for the last 50 days. But now I want to turn my attention to one other thing, which is that according to Al Jazeera this morning, 10,000 reserve soldiers, Israeli reserve soldiers, have signed a document to the Dutch government saying that they will not go back to serve again. They refuse. Why? Because Israel has no strategy. it has no strategy whatsoever. Its only purpose is to keep Mr. Netanyahu in power. Secondly, they see that the Israeli government is placing all its priority on the military strategy, which is failing, not on delivering the hostages that are being held in Gaza. Since 1967, according to the American Friends Service Committee, Israel has incarcerated over 1 million Palestinians. A great number of those have been incarcerated simply for being Palestinian. They have done nothing wrong except perhaps to resist the illegal occupation of their land. At present, Israel holds more than 9,000 hostages. Many of these are minors who have been abducted from their homes at night, terrorizing them and their families. This is not the kind of government that I would want my taxpayer dollars to be supporting. And it is really our duty, both legally and morally, as Keith earlier mentioned, the Lehi law makes it illegal for us to be supporting a government that engages in blatant human rights violations with impunity. So I call you now, please, 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 I beg of you, do your duty. Call for a ceasefire, call for an embargo, please. We have no time to lose. And I also vote for Brandon. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, call next speaker.
Juan Rocha. Juan Rocha.
Juan Rocha. Call the next speaker.
Anna Rocha.
It's Anna Rocha. Ms. Rocha, you have 3 minutes to speak beginning now.
Good afternoon. I'm here to make some clarifications on the issue of the cell tower in Lebanon Park. So since meeting 1, the Park District was saying that they issue letters only to the residents that were within 250 feet from the location of the tower. Then on the second meeting, Alderman Donnell said that he took it upon himself to personally go and measure the location of the tower to the residents. And it was not in fact 250 feet, it was 124 feet from the residents, which is unacceptable. Because he also mentioned that in the white community, the towers are 1,200 feet from the residents, not 124 feet. Now, there's a rumor going around trying to discredit us, saying that we're pulling numbers out of the air. I just like to clarify, I don't have the time nor the energy to go measure from my residence to the tower or the proposed location of the tower to tell you exactly how far it is. The numbers that we were mentioning in the previous meetings are numbers, the first one stated in the letter that I received. Not every resident received a letter, a notification letter. That was at 250 feet. The second one that we mentioned was 124 feet, mentioned by Alderman Donnell. Now, on the third meeting, the representative of the Park District came to try and discredit us, saying that we were lying, that it was not 250 feet from our home. It was, in fact, 500 feet. Now, it's a contradictory statement because he said they only send letters to residents within 250 feet from the location of the tower or the proposed location of the tower. So if I'm not within 250 feet, why did I receive a letter? Why is he saying there's 500 feet? Now, on the third meeting, Alderman Smith requested proof of towers installed on residencies or close to residencies. The pictures were provided, but I want to say one thing.
Thank you, ma'am. That concludes your 3 minutes.
Yes.
Madam Clerk, will you call the next speaker? Thank you. Call the next
Cynthia
speaker.
Rocha.
Ms. Roach, you have 3 minutes to speak beginning now.
Hi, everyone here has heard me talk. I apologize that I'm here again with the same issue of the cell tower. One of the things, first and foremost, that every single person here before me has stated is that they all feel a lack of representation of their own wants, their own opinions by everyone who is seated up here. I personally have been asked to provide evidence, to provide medical cases, to provide scientific evidence. Every single person who is sitting up here received an email with over 150 pages of scientific evidence. There is, in fact, in the alderman's office, a folder filled with pages of evidence that everyone is free to photocopy and everyone is free to look at. I am 21 years old. I am a student. I have spent most of my days for the last 2 years in hospitals getting poked and prodded. I do not have the time, nor the energy, nor the health to be going on and conducting these investigations, conducting this research. But I do it because my health is personally in jeopardy. My community's health is in jeopardy. You all do not represent the people, any cell tower service. You all represent us and our community. I have 158 petition signatures. Another neighbor of mine here, Araceli, we don't know if she'll get to speak, so I will speak for her. She did not receive the letter, and the only reason that she knew of the tower's potential existence is because I went to knock on her door. That being said, also, she does not agree with the cell tower being placed. She is here to represent because no one else can. I have been here speaking over and over again, begging for you all to listen to what we need, our community's needs. And in order for you all to serve us properly, you all need to understand and respect what the community wants and our boundaries. To overrule that is not to serve. It is to impose, and that is not your position. All that we need from you is to understand the literature that has been previously given with enough time to read, to understand that all of the cases that I have brought forth are not my opinion. They are fact. They are scientific fact and cases. For what Mr. Flowers has said previously, that the American Cancer Society has no specific statement against, it also states a lack of research in general. And if you look at the source, which directly speaks to the World Health Organization and to the American Cancer Society, which is the International Research Agency on Cancer, they name it as a carcinogen to man, it being radio frequencies and the distance. Please do not jeopardize our health. Our health is not for sale, and it never has been. And it's certainly not for sale, and it's not for lease. Please consider this in your judgment.
Thank you very much. That concludes our public speaking for today. We're going to go on to the next portion of the agenda. Deputy Mayor Trujillo, will you please speak with these individuals and find out what City of Aurora's jurisdiction is and whatever they're speaking of in the cell tower? Thank you very much. Let's go on to both the consent agenda and the direct to council consent agenda. We're going to hear those in full. With the clerk now, please read both those agendas in full.
24-0345, a resolution authorizing the city to accept a grant award of $1 million over 5 years from the USDA Forest Service Urban and Community Forestry Grant with no matching funds required to improve Aurora's urban forest in USDA-approved areas. 24-0354, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to purchase video conferencing hardware and services from Burwood Group in Chicago for a total amount not to exceed $66,640.53. 24-0401, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to execute a change order to the existing contract between the city and H.R. Green for Broadway Avenue. 240408, a resolution authorizing the City of Aurora to submit an application to the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity for the CDBG-CV Urban Shelter Program to fund the reconstruction of the family shelter at Hesed House in the amount not to exceed $2 million. 240409, a resolution authorizing the application to the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity for the Community Development Block Grant Coronavirus Grant Urban Shelter Program to fund the construction of a new shelter facility at Mutual Ground on Oak Avenue in Aurora in an amount not to exceed $2 million. 240417, a resolution to award the Broadway Avenue Sewer Separation Project located in Ward 2 to Berger Contractors in the amount of $1,094,089.25. 240418, a resolution approving the purchase of bulk rock salt in the amount of $73.90 per ton from Morton Salt for the Division of Street Maintenance under the DuPage County Joint Purchasing Agreement bid for the 2024-25 winter season. 240420, a resolution establishing the maximum number of Class D Downtown Core Entertainment District liquor licenses unofficially related to the application from Aurora Metropolitan Expo Center Authority, Paramount Theater in Ward 2. 240434, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to modify the contract values previously awarded to Gray Bar Electric and Volunteer Supply Industries to a combined amount not to exceed $225,000 for the purchase of lighting materials for various locations throughout the city. 240436, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to process a change order to the agreement with Ratio Architects for the River Edge Park Phase 2 expansion PSA in the amount of $440,200. 240437, a resolution to award a 3-year contract with 2 optional 1-year extensions to Semperfi Land Services in the amount of $98,644 per year for the landscape maintenance of rain gardens and miscellaneous storm BMPs project. 240446, a resolution authorizing the approval and execution of a lease agreement between the City of Aurora and the Aurora Metropolitan Exposition Auditorium and Office Building Authority for the lease of space at 5 East Downer Place, Suite G in Aurora. 240451, a resolution authorizing the approval of a development agreement between the city and C1 Chicago Aurora, providing reimbursement for public improvements that benefit the property located at 2725 Bilter Road. 240442, a resolution accepting the improvements and waiving the maintenance security for Fox Valley Habitat, Spruce Street Re-subdivision, 654 and 656 Spruce Street. 240457, a resolution approving reduction number 1 for Chelsea Manor. 240469, approval of the minutes of the Tuesday, June 11, 2024 City Council meeting. 240462, an ordinance establishing special service area number 218 for stormwater management purposes related to 1449 Senior Estates.
Second. There's been a motion made by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Garza. Before we entertain those motions, is there any motion to remove any items from the consent agenda or any questions on any items from the consent agenda? There being no motions to remove any items or no questions, a motion and a second on the floor. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Alderman Yamas?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
Yes.
Alderman Warman?
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. The consent agenda and the direct to council consent agenda are both approved. Let's go on to the next portion of the agenda, unfinished business. Madam Clerk, you read the first item under unfinished business.
240324, an ordinance granting a conditional use permit for a telecommunication facility use on the property located at 1010 Lebanon Street.
There's been a motion by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Franco. Before we entertain any questions or take a vote on this, do we have anyone from staff here that can speak on this issue? Can you give a little background on this issue for the aldermen that aren't on that particular committee and may have missed it on COW last week?
Sure. So this is, I'm sorry, my name's Ed Sieben. I'm the City of Aurora Zoning and Planning Director. This is a conditional use request for a cell tower that would be in Lebanon Park, address 1010 Lebanon. Petitioners, the owner is Fox Valley Park District, and AT&T is the actual group that would be putting up the tower. It would be replacing a current light pole that is in right field of the baseball field in the southeast portion of the park. That light pole would be replaced with the 125-foot cell tower, and then the lights put back on in the same location.
How tall is the light pole now?
I believe it's 35 feet. So at the request of, I believe it was maybe Alderman Donnell, Mr. Flowers from AT&T and another person is here. If there's any questions, they did provide, I believe it's called an RF frequency survey predictability study that was put into the packet today, so I believe they could expound on that further.
Before they expound on that, I do have a few more questions for you, Mr. Sieben. Lebanon Park, we've all been there, is in the middle of a neighborhood. What is the closest residence to where this tower is proposed?
Sure. So there is, the closest residences are across the street on actually Lafayette Street. They're about 125 feet to the east. The notices, as I explained last week, went out to 140 properties that are within 250 foot of the outer boundary of the park. So they have to go 250 foot beyond the outer boundary of the entire Lebanon Park, not including right-of-ways. So they're actually going beyond 250 feet from the current boundary of the park.
The boundary of the park itself, however, only 120 feet from a residence itself.
The actual pole is down in the southeast portion of the park by Lafayette Street, and the closest residents are across the street to the east.
Gotcha. And what is our...
there's the aerial right
Thank you very much. And what is our ordinance requirements about a cell tower and the distance to a residence?
It needs to be at least the distance of the height of the tower to the structure. This is asking for the conditional use because we do allow towers up to 100 feet by right. So this is over 100 feet, so it's a 125-foot request. And there's a picture of the light pole and then replaced with the monopole with the actual light stand put back at the same height.
And before we go on, the alderman of the ward, Alderman, the 4th Ward, I wasn't here at COW, what were the questions that you asked and the answers that you received?
I asked, obviously there's a lot of concern about health and safety of this, so I asked if AT&T could provide any information to do that. I've done a little research on my own, and we're going to ask some questions about that. But I do, Mayor, have to make a clarification. I met with the Rokas in person, and we talked a little bit, and after that, I went out using Google Earth, measured the distance from the cell tower in Lincoln Park to my home, which is 1,200 feet. But just to be clear, that cell tower is within 400 feet of a school and a residence, which is virtually the same distance this cell tower will be to the Rokas.
To the Rokas, but not those houses across the street, right?
Right.
Gotcha. All right, so we can have someone from AT&T step up and answer these questions about health and safety of this tower.
Good evening. My name is Andrew Flowers. I am the Senior Real Estate and Construction Manager for AT&T Mobility for Illinois, Wisconsin. And where would you like me to start? I mean, I think that the staff has kind of given you the overall pieces of the puzzle of what we're trying to accomplish here. But over the last 3 meetings, there's been a lot of different questions in regards to, the safety of the tower itself. If it fell over, how the towers are engineered, what kind of equipment goes on the tower, is the tower lit, unlit? And hopefully I've answered all those questions over the last 3 weeks.
Well, all right, since we want trying to figure out where we're going to start,
Sure,
Alderman, if you don't mind, the questions that you had for the representative of AT&T, you want to ask those questions now just so we can address those and then expound from there?
Absolutely. In AT&T's presentation, we talked about, and I think the concern is the radio waves, not so much this thing falling over, but it's the radio waves out there. So we're trying to figure out what a safe level is. The other thing is, at one point in time, you talked about the FCC did a study for over 6 years with the Environmental Protection Agency. I'm trying not to put words in your mouth, that came up with these standards for what is acceptable, in a neighborhood. Also, I think you made it clear that these are in a lot of neighborhoods, so maybe if you could make that clarification. But the bottom line is, what does the FCC say about this, and where are we in light of their regulations and what they permit?
Okay. There's a lot there to unpack, so help me if I missed something. So when AT&T or any of the carriers build a telecommunications facilities, it's very important to us to make sure that we fall within the guidelines that are given to us by the FCC, which is our regulation body that tells us what we can build, where we can build it, how we can build it. That's accomplished through many different pieces of the puzzle. FAA, how tall the towers can be without being lit. Do they have to be painted? The FCC, what kind of antennas are you putting on there? What kind of frequencies are you using? Are you licensed for those frequencies? We even get down into the NEPA historical. Basically, when we build our towers, there are also, we go through the National Historic Preservation, State Historical Preservation. We make sure that all of the Native American tribes that have come through the area, we have to file with them to make sure that where we're building our facility is not something that's important to them. So when we go back to the frequency piece, the Telecommunications Act of 1996 basically outlines what municipalities like yourself can and cannot do for regulating of the facilities. AT&T is not a medical facility, but we take their information that comes to us and we create standards. And what we provided to staff this morning, which is a radio frequency safety survey report perspectives. So what that is a radio frequency report of the proposed antennas that are going to go on the facility and the amount of power that's going to be coming off of them. If you think back many years ago, I can still remember, you used to have a bag phone or a brick phone. You could literally make a phone call off a cell tower 15, 20 miles away. Today, the cell towers have to get closer together, shorter, to be able to provide the amount of data and usability from the cell phones that are being manufactured. Most of the cell phones are about half a watt in power. So the facilities have to be closer together. When we looked at this facility and where we wanted to place this, there was some previous information that I had sent showing that it's not AT&T saying, we're going to go here and just build it. We're spending our time and our effort and our money in your community because the community says, well, we need this. And that's coming from the data from the physical cell phones because people are having dropped calls or they can't make phone calls. So when we put all that data together, the engineers tell us what kind of antennas go on this facility, what kind of power has to be used. And in this report, and I believe that everybody has this report. It's in the packet. Okay, it's in the packet. There's one thing that the federal government looks at is the safety of how much is the maximal permissible energy coming off of the facility. And in the report that was done by a third party, that with the proposed antennas that we're offering to put on this facility, it's 0.068 of 1% on the ground. So
say that one more time just so it's clear.
Yep.
Say-
It's 0.6.
I mean, what's 0.0? Start from the
Yeah. So the maximum permissible level for exposure to the antennas that is given to us by the federal government. So they break down what the percentages can be. And on the ground level where these facilities are at, it's 0.0678%.
That's the max?
That is, yes, that is the max that facility would be putting out at ground level. Now, obviously, when you're up at the antennas, it's much different, but that's not where the public is at. There were some gentlemen here earlier that build cell phone towers and replace their radios. The equipment that we use obviously is more powerful up at the top, and it tapers off as you get to the ground. This report also actually goes into the rooftops around the area, 16, 18-foot rooftops, and it also shows that that level is 1% or less in those areas. So it's super important to, obviously, all the carriers, but especially to AT&T, that every facility that we build, it falls within the parameters that are given to us by the federal government to make sure that they're safe. Now, hopefully I've answered some of your questions. So help me out. What else did I need to help with to help answer the rest of the questions? I think there was the locations to towers, right? How close cell phone towers are to residential homes?
Yeah, if you'd like that.
Okay, yep, we can go there. It's in your packet, right? I think that was in the third meeting. And what I did is I went around and looked at facilities that are basically in your neighborhood, North Aurora, Montgomery, I believe. And what I did is look at how close those facilities are to residential homes. The one you have up on your screen there, I believe that's up by the North Aurora water tank. That's right across the street from the residential homes. So you're probably in the range of about 250 feet or so.
Again, that's Aurora.
Aurora,
not
sorry.
North
I say North Aurora because it's the north end of the Aurora, but yes.
Corner
it's
of Randall and Indian Trail.
Randall, yes. Actually, I built that facility because we originally were on the water tank, and we were asked to come off by the city and put the monopole right next to the water tank. Some of the other pictures in your packet are for different sites throughout the city. That particular one there is like an example, like how close do they get to residential homes? That's in Chicago, and that's on a standard Chicago lot. So that's approximately about 35 feet from the residence, the apartments right there, and right behind that are brownstones. So they're probably about 80 to 100 feet away from there. We're in, I don't know, probably at least 30, 35 Chicago public schools. We're on many of the high school ball fields, just about every major athletic facility that there is, hospitals. If these cell phones weren't regulated, then you would have to look at what kind of facilities are we building, how close are you? But when we do a report like this, which we usually don't do on a residential monopole, but we're willing to take this, make sure this report is done before and after the site is built. So that way, the city can see, staff can see that it is within the federal limits that are given to us, and it stays functional within those limits. The other thing that happens with this facility is that it's monitored back at operations. So if it gets struck by lightning and the radios don't work anymore, or they're functioning outside of the parameters that are given to us, then we send out a ticket and they're replaced within usually 24, 48 hours or less to have that. So it's very important for us to stay within the limits that are given to us.
Did you have any other questions, Alderman? All right, just a few more questions before I ask Mr. Steven a question. He says antennas. How many antennas are going to be on this?
So everybody has a different idea of what antennas are. So if you actually look at the picture that's on your screen there, you will see the picture on the left kind of shows this triangle pattern. So on top of a cell tower or a rooftop, the antennas are pointing in 3 different directions, which usually are about 120 degrees apart.
Can we go back to the slide that actually has the pole on it that they propose? Yeah, right.
There we go.
Yeah.
So some people say, like, the antennas facilities, to me, that's the entire tower itself. At the top, that is what we call that's our radiation center. So that is the RAD center is what it's called, RAD. And what that is where AT&T places their antennas. It's a platform. Our antennas are up there. The antennas there'll be 9 antennas up there, which will carry LTE, UMTS, C-band, DOD, so which are frequencies that are all licensed to us by the federal government.
Just to be clear, when you say 9 antennas, will it look exactly like the depiction in this picture, or is it going to be
It'll
9
look-
of these?
It'll look exactly like that. Now, the facility actually is built to carry additional RAD centers, different carriers. So let's say that T-Mobile comes along or Verizon comes along, and they would go underneath us. The tower is actually engineered to carry 3 commercial carriers like ourselves. So that it's co-locatable, and that's actually part of the ordinance to make sure that our facilities are co-locatable, so that you don't have another carrier come in and say, we're going to take another light pole and another light pole and another light pole. It'll all be one facility put together.
And just to be clear, Mr. Sieben, this would be of right, which means we would have no say if this were 100 feet or under.
I believe it's 100 feet and under, correct. Our ordinance allows administrative review via permit under a certain height. I believe it's under 100 feet. So because this is 125, it does need a conditional use.
So that 25 extra feet makes it a conditional use where we're considering at the city council level. Any other questions from Alderman? Maybe Alderman Lash, did you have a question?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You mentioned 0.0678%. That's a percent of the power that's being emitted off of the tower, off the antenna.
Correct. That's a maximum permissible exposure limits at the base, yes.
And then I think the question that I asked at the 2 previous meetings is, do we know what, how many watts per meter
Yeah,
that
so
is
in your
at 250 feet?
Well, in your packet, there's, I think it's on page 6 here. Let me open this up here. On page 6, there is a breakdown of the total power watts on that site. And what the engineers have calculated is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 times 160, you're looking at maybe 3,000 watts of power, which is like 3,100 light bulbs.
Okay. And so how do you extrapolate that out to 250 feet? Sorry.
So extrapolate it out to 250 feet. So I am not a RF engineer. When they put together the reports, the antenna manufacturers produce the specs that the antennas will function under. And they put the data into the system, and it basically puts out what is this going to look like for health and safety, right? And that's for signage, so that's making sure that we have proper signage at the site, which the site only requires 1 radio frequency sign at the base to make sure that if anybody's climbing the tower, they are notifying and making sure things happen. When you look through the rest of the report, it gives these, for example, it gives these like cones, right, of where the maximum power is happening. And when you start looking at them, you'll see the maximum power is within probably 30, 35 feet, 40 feet of the actual antenna itself, and it starts dropping out from there. That's why it's the blue, and then it goes to white, and so forth. So I hope that answers your question, because it's kind of a...
It doesn't, but-
It really doesn't. Yeah, I know. It's a tough question to answer, because it's not something that is easily calculated except for on the reports.
One more other quick question, and I doubt you'll know the answer to this because you probably work mostly in Illinois and North America, but I'm just curious if you're familiar with any international standards for these towers and antennas, because I know that the U.S. standard is typically lower. FCC standards are lower than international. In fact, when I was looking at all the medical information, medical evaluation, it's all coming out of European countries. It's not here.
Can you answer that question, sir?
No, besides, I went to Europe last year, and the antennas, it's kind of like a habit of mine. You look, and it's like, ooh, there's antennas there, right? There's antennas there. And I was at Paris, and their antennas were basically the same places where we placed them. They actually have them in garbage cans or in facilities sitting on the street to be able to cover corners as opposed to us putting them on light poles and things. So there are different standards, but I couldn't answer anything specific beyond that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other questions? Alderman Donnell?
Yes, thank you. There is an image that I think is right behind the image you showed that kind of looks like an umbrella. It's a side view, and it shows how the power is distributed. And if you could hold that up and talk about that for a minute.
Would this be
Yes.
this one right here? So this is I'll do this as two pieces here. So
I think we can pull that up.
you can probably pull these up in the
It's in
packet.
the last,
right?
John, it's in the last that was sent
Yeah,
today.
so this picture here is the same representation of this picture here, except that you're looking at a side view of it, right? So when you look at this picture here, that you're basically looking at how far the maximum distance that the power comes off the tower. Now, they didn't give me a calculation on here, but if I can extrapolate from, from the center of the tower to the edge of the road right there, probably looking at about 70 feet, 85 feet, somewhere in there. That's where the maximum power is at, is up. And that's at 125 feet in the air.
In the air, but not at ground level.
Not at ground level. Nope.
Any other question? Alderman Bug?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, my question is a more basic question that I posed last week. When we finished our Aurora Census Committee, one of the main takeaways from that was that all official notices from the city would go out in both English and Spanish. We did it during the census, but then we wanted to improve our processes, and that was one of the major takeaways. It was suggested by Dan Barrero. And it was my understanding at that time that that was happening. Our questions last week, when they were answered, that this notice did not go out in Spanish to a predominantly Spanish neighborhood. If we were putting up a tower in my neighborhood and that notice went out in Spanish, not English, 80% of the people wouldn't be able to read it. So we sent this notice out to this neighborhood, and it's my understanding in the very small amount of time that I spoke to people there, most of the people could not read the notice in English. So my question is, have we stopped putting out official notices in both languages, or what happened with this particular notice?
And that comes from staff. Do you know that? Can you ask that question, Mr. Stephen?
We've never changed how we've done notices. So.
And how do we do it in Spanish as well?
No, it does. We do it in English. I believe we were directed last week to do bilingual, at least part of it, so people would be able to have a contact. We're looking at working with the city's official translator for the future to do that on public notices. We'd be glad to work with the law department on that to make sure it's meeting our requirements. So.
But as of this time, when notice was sent out, nothing was sent out in Spanish in a
No.
Spanish-speaking neighborhood?
No, I said that last week, yes.
Any other questions? Alderman Smith? None? Any other questions from this side? Alderman Leish?
Sure. I'll just make a few comments and not questions. As we look at this, the project to me doesn't seem to have community support. We saw 3 different groups that didn't know each other come to the public hearing. 158 signatures, 25 which were collected door to door. A second point I'd like to make is if we vote no on this tonight, I guarantee you AT&T will find something equal and comparable in a non-residential area that doesn't create any even potential risk to the residents in nearby areas. In fact, recently somebody made on this council the same argument about a tattoo parlor that we're okay with it, we just want it in a different neighborhood. And if it's good enough for a tattoo parlor, I would say that argument's good enough for a cell tower. For me, the public safety question hasn't been answered. I work in nuclear power plants. I know how radiation works. Time as an exposure time, distance from the source, and then the power source, the level of power, the things that impact it. And all of the medical research that I see, there's nothing that looks at a long-term evaluation. I only saw international evaluations from medical professionals. And those, the one, I didn't read everything that Ms. Rocha sent us, but the one even evaluated the strength of just having this in for long-term users. And there was an evaluation of cancer. Potentially, this was a 2011 study, but the American Cancer Society, in their conclusions, basically say that there's not enough research or scientific evidence. So, my hope, Mr. Mayor, is that we could work with AT&T to find a different location. That's my position, and I know other older people will have different opinions, but I appreciate your consideration.
Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Smith?
Yes, so I guess I just want to state again, just so that everybody understands, that if this tower was 100 feet, not 125 feet, this wouldn't even be under our privy. We wouldn't be having this conversation. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes.
It would
We-
it
we
would
have
just be going
there's
up
a certain
without
height
us.
where it's administrative review only.
So the reason why we are here tonight to talk about this is because of the extra 25 feet. If it was 100 feet, would all these same obstacles be there that we wouldn't even have the opportunity to discuss?
That would, according to staff, yes. And, using that logic, right now the antennas are 125. You bring down to 100, you're concerned about something that, is, obviously we take into account for the health and safety, but now you just dropped to 25 more feet closer to the ground.
So I just think it's important for the
Yeah.
public to understand that these towers are going up without the municipality approval when they're at 100 feet. The only reason this discussion is occurring is this additional 25 feet. So I think it's really important that.
And-
Well,
and-
I guess that's a good question. And why is it 125 versus 100? Why do you make it 125?
That is a great question. So one of the evaluations, maybe somebody could find the picture in there, it's got the nice pretty colors all over it. One of the things that the RF engineers do, that they look at what all the other towers are around, how are they talking to each other, right? So if I were to build, for an example, a 250-foot tower here, right, that would overbleed all the towers are around it, right? And then you'd have bad signal, you'd have dropped calls, the system wouldn't know how to speak to itself. If you look in downtown Aurora here, you have the building on the slope. Yeah, there we go, Leland Tower. I remember being on that building a long time ago. That's about 210 feet tall or so. The antennas are actually pointed down because if we left them directly out at the horizon, they'd bleed over the cell sites next to them. So the engineer looks at how tall does this tower need to be. Actually, in this area, the tower needed to be about 150 feet tall. And what we're trying to do is weigh obviously the concerns of how tall the facility is, where is it being placed, how do we make the maximum coverage without having to build more towers, right? No community wants to have a proliferation of towers. One of the things that we've tried to do, if you look at the map here and you see all those little black dots up to the top right, those are what are called small cells. Some people call them C-RANs, they call them small cells. Those are ones that are on utility poles that are about 40, 45 feet tall, sitting on usually a corner. Sometimes they're on a building, most of the time they're on utility poles. Those are kind of like a Band-Aid, right? They're put on corners to be able to provide service for high traffic areas. Might be a business, might be maybe a stoplight there and everybody sits there and uses their phone. But they don't have the capacity, they don't have the coverage. They're only good for about a block and a half, 2 blocks in some cases. And every time a new technology comes out or something goes wrong, you have to change out literally all the equipment at the site. So it becomes very cumbersome and very difficult to do. This is what our cell site that we're proposing here in the park is a macro site. So this is a full-fledged site that has every frequency that AT&T is licensed for from the federal government, including first responders. It gives us the ability to basically cover what we can't do today from the outside. Kind of to answer your question roundabout way, if I went down to 100 and you said you're going to conditionally approve me at 100, we'll bill it at 100. But when the next carrier comes along and says it doesn't work for them, what are you going to do? Are you going to give them the okay to add on to ours and go to 125? You're going to add another tower in the park, add another tower down the street? So that's kind of the things that we look at to make sure that, it's like a crystal ball that's very dirty, right? You look at it trying to say, what's the maximum we can build here? What's the requirements from the city? What do our engineers want? How do we make this all kind of fit together? And we believe that the 125 is kind of that sweet spot that covers what we need to eliminate one of the most congested areas that we have in our network today.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Franco.
I want to comment on a couple of things that have been said. First of all, it was said that the people don't want it there. Why are we putting that cell tower there? Is that for the betterment of the reception for the people that live in that area? Isn't that why we're doing that?
Yes.
Because the cell service isn't that good? And I didn't work in a nuclear power plant for whatever, but I worked for the federal government for 33 years in a safety-related position. And I will tell you, not speculation, not because I read it on the internet, the federal government bends over backward for safety, to the point where it's nauseating at times, and I used to do that for a living. We used to fight with the airlines all the time. They wanted to push the envelope. No, we have safety standards, that's it. The FCC is a consumer protection agency. This is their job to watch out, create standards, do the research to make it safe for people in these particular situations. So when we talk about the federal government or standards, I don't really know that we would want to be arguing with them because they are the watchdog for all of us. We can find stuff on the internet all day long and make arguments, but at the end of the day, there has to be a source, and we have it in our government that will watch over us, take care of it. So I kind of think this is kind of where we have to go. We had the same situation, or a similar situation, when we were doing Cyrus One versus Scientel Solutions and the line of sight going to the city, and somebody came over here and said, that is not even your gig. We got the FEC that takes care of that. So I just want to reiterate to people that we have these groups, these government agencies who watch over us. This is what they do for a living, and they do it very well. So I would, if we have to side with somebody, I'm kind of got to go with the government because this is what they do for a living, and they do it very well. That's all I have.
Yep, you know what, we've probably talked about this to exhaustion, so based on the fact that we have a motion and a second on the floor, Madam Clerk, I'm going to ask you to call the vote. Call the roll.
Alderman Yamas?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza? Yes. Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
No.
Alderman Lash?
No.
Alderman Warman?
Yes.
9 yes, 2 no.
Motion carries. The ordinance is adopted. Madam Clerk, read the next item.
240406, a resolution authorizing the execution of a memorandum of agreement by July 1st, 2024, fulfilling the obligation of the notice of intent to participate in the coalition led by Kane County, Illinois, for the Climate Pollution Reduction Grant signed by Mayor Irvin on March 29, 2024.
Been a motion made by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Garza. Are there any questions or discussions on this item?
Mayor?
Alderman Franco.
I just want to say that I put this on unfinished. I've since talked to staff about it, and they've answered my question, so it was all good.
All right, Madam Clerk, call, I'm sorry, Alderman Lash.
I just want to let everybody know if they wanted more information about this, the climate plan did pass the Kane County, and there's going to be a public information hearing on August 10th. I'll send everybody an email so they can attend if they want to learn more. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Yamas?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
Yes.
Alderman Warman?
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. The resolution is approved. As a matter of fact, I signed that pollution reduction grant on my birthday, March 29th. Wow. That was a good day. That concludes unfinished business. There is no new business. There is an item under old business. We are not going to entertain that item. Today, we're going to hold this for 2 weeks and determine whether or not we're going to move this from the agenda. So let's go on to the reports. There are none. Is there a motion to approve and pay the bills as listed on the agenda?
Second.
There's been a motion made by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Franco. Will the clerk please call the roll on the bills?
Alderman Yamas?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
Yes.
Alderman Warman?
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. The bills are approved. There is no need for a closed session.
Motion to adjourn.
There's been a motion to adjourn by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Garza. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We are adjourned.